Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the first set of Cliff Notes for Crime and Punishment. Class starts this week, which is pretty odd, right? Because the first day classes is until the 23rd and you have the 24th. And so if we were in class right now, what I'd be doing is reviewing the syllabus and doing the first lecture. So I want you guys to do exactly that. You could choose to do this before Monday, that's fine. There's no assignments due this week beyond reviewing the syllabus and reviewing the first lecture. So all I'm asking you to do is to look at all of the assignments, all the requirements, the policy on academic integrity, etc., located on the syllabus. And please know that this class basically has 10% participation, which will come in the form of the discussion forums, which are available on Moodle. All of those discussion forums are due by 5 p.m. on Friday. You have an entire week to write out those. So those discussions will be available each week. Also, I will be putting up particular case studies that are related to crime and punishment. I want you to review, just going to have a few sentences, paragraph or so, for each case study, and I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer those questions. So in a sense, there's two versions for participation. Both are due on Moodle by 5 p.m. each Friday, not starting this week, but starting February 1st. Beyond that, there is a writing assignment that is due on February 28th. This is the Create Your Own Prison System. I will be putting up directions for that in a couple weeks. Actually, I'll put it in the slot in the day that it's due, February 28th, but I'll have it available a couple weeks before. We have to get through the first few lectures in order for you guys to figure out how to do that assignment in the first place. And then there's a criminal profile paper that's due at the end of the semester. That's May 8th as a due date for that. That will be a long research paper, which again, I'll have directions up for soon on Moodle. Beyond that, there's a midterm exam, which will take place on March 27th, and then there will be a final exam, which will take place on May 15th. In both of those cases, I'm going to make them available on Moodle. You will submit them back on Moodle. You'll have 24 hours to complete them, as I will be putting them on Thursday, and you can submit them by Friday, the following day. Beyond that is the lecture on what is crime. And this is something that is actually really important because in that lecture, I really want you to pay attention to kind of the descending definitions of social norms, the rules that we practice between us, deviance, which is any violation of any norm or going against the norm, and then the definition for crime. And so in this, I'm putting out there the idea that like crime is, the definition basically just says it's behaviors that are legally prohibited. That's it. The definition doesn't describe very much, and it's as vague as it is on purpose because there are what we may call hard crimes, murder, rape, and theft. Most societies count those behaviors as illegal, but once we start to get into other deviant behaviors in society, every state, every society, every country starts to vary. So if you take a look at something like prostitution, for example, if you wave a magic wand and say that all of the sex trade is consensual, which I know it's not, but let's, for the case of this argument, let's wave a magic wand and say that it's consensual. Why is that illegal? For what reason? So I want you to take a look at those processes that I'm saying that every behavior has to be filtered through in order to determine when something becomes illegal. So looking at victimization, so for prostitution, who's the victim? Looking at consensus. Consensus is how many people agree that something should be off or wrong or illegal. Looking at social harm. Social harm is the measurement of the damage to society. And social response, meaning how many people make enough fuss over an issue before it becomes illegal. In the case of prostitution, a lot of people lean on social harm or the damage to society that prostitution can lead to murder, rape, and theft and other things. Drug use by itself, not a great crime, but a lot of people will look at the damage to society, how drug use can lead to violent criminal behavior, etc. And then for that last category of social response, I like to use the example of abortion as something that is illegal in 11 states. It's an arrestable offense in 11 states. And yet there's no clear consensus. We can't agree who the victim is. We can't even talk about what the damage to society is for abortion, yet it's illegal in 11 states. Probably 13 at this point. I forgot that Georgia just added their law. But I just want you to review that and understand that not all crimes are obvious. Not all criminal behavior is obvious. There are sets of behaviors out there. There's deviant behavior. You could dye your hair blue, but that doesn't make it illegal, nor is it intolerable. A lot of gray areas, like related to smoking and vaping, for example. Some of you hate cigarettes. Some of you hate cigarette smoking, and you would love to see it banned. Others could care less. So that's why consensus has to be considered, why victimization has to be considered. But then the other two are really important. What some people get to determine what is the damage to society, and others get to make enough noise about an issue. Sometimes a small group of people can make enough noise about an issue to make something illegal. Great example of that is Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Mothers Against Drinking and Driving, small organization, changed all of our national laws because they made enough noise over the issue. So, generally speaking, this class is kind of a hybrid of a class about corrections and criminology. Crime and punishment will both look at what creates crime and how we punish people. So it's heavily dependent upon our system of corrections, which is our system set up to punish people. And for this week, I just want you to look at the lecture notes. Next week begins lecture notes, readings, which are available in the textbook, and also the 2 discussion assignments, which will be due on February 1st. Okay, so any questions, let me know. I'll be putting up these cliff notes each week to point out what you should be paying attention to in the lectures. Otherwise, this is an online class. Let's get it started. All right, take care.